Welcome back. We are at the ninth. We're at the ninth step, or the ninth section of the where we are looking at the commitment to the growth of others. Briefly, we previously looked at stewardship and how that contributes to the overall organization well-being, and with properly managing or optimizing the management of other organizational resources and people's time and efforts and so forth, that can then contribute towards the commitment to grow others. To grow others, you need some resources. So people, from what I've discovered, and no doubt you have as well, that commitment to the growth of others includes and reveals that people are more than the sum of their parts. There are a lot of elements that people bring to the organization that are not necessarily apparent, and that doesn't necessarily mean that as leaders we're not doing our jobs, but there are opportunities that we might be not embracing, that if we look at who and what the makeup of our organization, who they are, that we can leverage different areas, not only for organizational opportunity, but for the growth factor of those who engage, who bring those talents into the organization. So previously I had mentioned that there are some organizations that I know of that will entertain the movement of an employee from one department to another, as long as they show not only the aptitude for it, the desire, and all of the proper elements of it are in place, but when doing so, that it's done in a manner that contributes to that individual's and to the corporate success of the organization. So with people, when they're given the tools necessary to be successful at what they do, then you set them up for a position of being successful. And that then, again, contributes to any type of change processes that take out that ambiguity or that apprehensiveness to move forward, because they know that they are going to get those tools necessary, that they're not going to be yelled at, they're not that this, that, and the other is contributing towards the success, and that this, that, and the other that's taken away is removed. So as people grow, they can feel free to grow in a way that is contributing not only to themselves in the environment. And servant leaders look at what are those elements that we can put into place that contributes to those goals. So again, there is the serving part of the leader, that the leader is not serving in the sense of always asking for what's to be done, but doing in a manner that does contribute to others in their growth, because that is, again, contributing to the stewardship of the organization. So by employees assisting them, that can also create a level of excitement in the environment, because their perception that the organization supports them goes up. So the heightened level of this support then creates this goodwill, this internal goodwill effort that engages people in a way that deficit-based perspective or command and control, typical command and control environments do not necessarily engage in. So people that are, I mean, you ever really engage or experience somebody who's just happy, and they have this euphoric outlook, and they just want to engage in a positive way because they feel positive, they feel good, and that can then be the reciprocative factor that employee or that leader contributes back into the organization to create this positive upward spiral of enlightenment and positivity. This then can be infectious to the rest of the organization. It becomes those pockets of positive deviance that move in the direction that everybody wants to go, and the growth of others, when you include them into these decisions about what's the next direction, what can we go, how can we develop, what can we move forward, it involves them, and it really becomes a shared model. Now, organizations, if the leaders have done well to gain a certain level of trust from the employees themselves are not going to necessarily try and micromanage back to the leadership. Oh, what are you doing? How's that going? What's happening here? How have you accounted for this, and so forth? There's a certain level of trust that has built up, that the people say, my leader's got my back, I got my leader's back, we support one another, and we're going to move forward. And people are trusting the system that has been developed to be the vehicle that moves that forward. And where adjustments need to be made, they will be made. And when there's times to swap out and trade in the vehicle, we'll do that. But overall, this commitment to others has created this opportunity that people build upon one another. And when there are times when things they have to move so quickly that there may not be opportunity for an in-depth explanation, people at large may be fine with just putting that explanation on hold, knowing that from past circumstances that the people in question have done well, and they have done well for the organization. And while there's times when the work is the work, and that task is what it is, and things in the organization happen that people know that they're happening in the best possible manner, in the best possible way, and care, because this is the track record that has been developed over time. And when organizations are looking to make a change, then when the development is placed into those people, remember, as I mentioned before, that when they're in the fight or flight circumstance because their situation is being perceived as negative, then the likelihood of them looking for or contributing to the process for the betterment of it is low, if existent at all. That then this contribution helps to move people into an environment where they don't have to think about fight or flight as much, and they are movement into the logical and creative thought processes, contribute then to the success factor of any ongoing goals or situations that the organization is trying to meet, but also for future endeavors and other changes are met with a certain degree of optimism, because that thought process is allowed to predominate their thinking patterns without having to worry about this deficit-based negative approach where they feel they may not get what's necessary to be successful and get chastised for not being successful on top of that. So with the commitment to the growth of others, not only does that give you opportunity for experiencing a happier workforce, a more productive workforce, and a more adhesive workforce. The amount of savings that the organization can enjoy from lower acquisition costs then can contribute towards the practices of sharing these elements with people to increase their worth to the organization and to themselves. So as we move through this commitment to others, then we see that the organization is going to move towards development of this community of people that are working together. And that has a positive impact not only on the internal environment but on the external, and that is also the subject of our next and final step. So step 10, we will look at building of community in the servant leadership model and how that contributes to organizational success.